Hey, just in time for the holiday season, we're seeing some new Windows phones coming to market. What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDoc.com, and we just reviewed the HTC Titan. We've seen a couple of second-generation Windows phones coming to the various carriers. Here's another one, the Samsung Focus S. Now, this is available on AT&T, and it's available now for $149.99. And specs-wise, pretty decent. 4.3-inch display, 8-megapixel camera on the back with 720p HD video recording, and it's running Mango or Windows Phone 7.5. Best of all, it's coming in at $150, so $50 below all the other price tiers. You know, $199, $100 below $249. It's priced well, but the question is, can this hold up against the Captivate Glide, the iPhone 4S, and all the high-end LTE Android devices on AT&T? We'll take a look. But first, some love to Best Buy Mobile. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up all these tiles, your email, your web, your messaging. So when you walk out that door, you're good to go. You're texting your friends, you're listening to your favorite tunes, and you're surfing the net. Thanks to Best Buy Mobile's Walkout Working program. Let's take a look at this in the full review of the Samsung Focus S. Is this the device to get? Should you go with the Titan? Maybe you should go with one of those LTE devices. We'll find out in the full review, which starts right now. You know what, this holiday season, you're hearing a lot about iOS and a lot about Android because the 4S just came out. You're seeing a lot of new Android models, but Windows Phone is doing quite the good job this holiday season as well. This is the Samsung Focus S, and it's an upgrade to the original Focus, and you're thinking, well, it looks entirely different. Yeah, it kind of does. It reminds me a lot of the Samsung Galaxy S2. It's kind of like they're standardizing their product lines between Windows Phone and Android, but a new design and a relatively nice price tag, $149.99 with a 2-year agreement at AT&T. So it's priced well, and it's priced below that $199 price tier that we've kind of all grown to know and either love or hate, depending on what you think. You know, if $199 is too much or not. So it's priced well. It's a good device with a pretty decent spec list as well. Just to give you a rundown, 1.4 gigahertz single-core CPU. It's got a 4.3-inch Super AMOLED Plus display, an 8-megapixel camera on the back with 720p HD video recording. It's packing a 1,650 milliamp hour battery. It's got your volume rocker over here, your power button over here, camera shortcut button, and then you've got a front-facing 1.3 megapixel camera up here. 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and then down here you got your micro USB charging port. So pretty decent display, although, you know, I will say after working with all these devices with 4.5 and 4.6 and 4.7 inch displays, 4.3, I think it's a combination of the chassis of this device and the overall display, but 4.3 almost feels a little bit too small. And you know, another thing I kind of want to point out to you is, while I do like this phone, and it's got that 1,650 milliamp hour battery, take a look at how flimsy the battery door is. I think that's kind of a point of concern for me. If you do take out the battery, make sure you don't bend this too much or you run the risk of potentially breaking it. It is easy to put on though, so that's always a pro. Windows Phone 7.5 or Mango pre-installed out of the box on this bad boy, and you get AT&T's 4G connectivity, or 4G as a lot of people like to call it. It is HSPA Plus. It's not LTE, but it does support HSPA Plus up to 14.4 megabits per second. Now out of the box, you get the typical AT&T stuff: Family Map, My Wireless, Navigator, Radio, UVerse Mobile. The benefit? You can uninstall that stuff out of the box. You can pin to start or uninstall all the AT&T stuff, which is pretty nice. And then Xbox Live Games comes out of the box. You get the Zoom capabilities. You get Samsung's daily briefing program, which is called Now for whatever reason, in the Start menu. And then you get Microsoft Office. You get YP Mobile as well, which can also be uninstalled. Now, of course, you know, if you're familiar with Windows Phone, you know this, but if you're not, Windows Phone runs off of what's called Metro UI. It's what you see here. Here's the home screen, and it looks a lot like subway tiles. Well, that's because Metro UI is designed after subway tiles. Now, that said, you know, I have a little bit of or a couple of gripes, rather, with Windows Phone after using it. You know, they're in their second version now with Mango, minus the minor software updates, and I'm thinking there's some things they should have employed in Mango that they never did. For example, you know, you'll see that the UVerse Mobile widget here is a rectangle. You see calendars are rectangle, but then you'll see Internet Explorer, messaging, the phone application, all those are squares. And you think, well, it'd be kind of cool if I could customize this and make it a rectangle so I could see my missed calls over here, or messaging so I could see my missed text messaging over there. It's just one of those things I think they kind of missed out on, and you don't get a ton of customization options on this device out of the box in comparison to iOS, to Android, and even to some of the others like WebOS and you know, some of the other kind of dying ones, if you will, that are on the market or were on the market. Now, you can change the background color. You can change the accent color as well, so we can change it to teal, for example, if you want to. And you do get some wallpaper options, but the only time you see the wallpaper is on the lock screen when you scroll up like that. You don't ever see it behind any of the widgets. So maybe that'll come in a future version of Windows Phone. But we can see here messaging. This is a big perk of messaging. I think they have a great keyboard on these Windows Phone devices, and it's a 4.3-inch display with quick and easy transition effects. You're really going to be happy if you send a lot of text messages or emails and you want something that's quick and easy to use. Now that said, take a look at this because it's hard to explain by talking about it, but take a look when I type and you'll notice that it doesn't really type individually. It's almost like I type so quickly, and I think a lot of you will as well. You type so quickly that it doesn't keep up with each letter. It kind of does it all at the very end. So listen to this as I type. Let me make sure the volume's up so you can hear it. Take a look at this. And you can hear, you know, it kind of like catches up every 2 or 3 letters and just automatically inputs all those letters. Not a big problem if you're a slow typer. You know, if you type like this, not a huge deal. But if you type like I do, which I'm sure a lot of you do, you know, you rely on the sound of the click to kind of tell you where you're at in the word. And it kind of threw me off. You know, for the first couple of days, I'm making all these typing errors, and I'm like, well, wait a second. It's because I can't understand. You know, I rely on the iPhone or rely on Android. I rely on either the haptic feedback or the click of the buttons to tell me where I am. So it's kind of hard to do that on this device, and that's kind of a con to me. But again, if you don't type fast, you know, you have some issues typing on a touchscreen, it won't be a major deal. Now, another little kind of pet peeve, if you will, that I have is you notice I had to pull the 4G down, or to pull it down to get it to show, pull down the battery indicator. All that goes away, and there's no way to keep it on the display. It goes away, comes back, goes away, and comes back. And then down here, you can see you got your shortcuts to send, to attach, and to speak. And then if you want more information about those, all you have to do is hit those 3 little red dots, or 3 little white dots rather, and it brings up the little text below so you can get an idea as to what you need to do. Now you got 3 capacitive buttons down here. You got back, home, and search, and then search takes you directly to Bing Mobile where you can pull it up and it'll tell you, it should identify and locate that I'm in Charlotte, and it's going to bring up a picture, which is pretty neat because I can click here and find interesting facts about the picture, and then I can come down here and see what exactly it is. St. Petersburg, Russia. Very, very cool. And then down here I have some options. I can search by vision, search by voice, and then search music as well, and then search the web directly from there. So let's take a look at the Internet Explorer browser, and you'll notice if you're coming from Windows Phone that the browser thing is moved down here to the bottom. Adam Levine gets kissy, and Nicki Minaj stays zany at Victoria's Secret fashion show. Oh snap. PhoneDog.com. I actually was reading that the other day. I don't really know why. But PhoneDog.com will load this up, and you know, HSPA Plus has been pretty decent for the most part in my metro area. I've seen speeds between like 2 and 5 megabits per second depending on the time of day. So not bad. Not bad at all. And you can see, you know, pinch to zoom, and the browser, fantastic. It's not even done loading yet, and it's that fast. You can see transition effects are nice and zippy, and Windows Phone employs a nice little transition effect there where it fools your eyes into thinking, well, that's really pretty, and not realizing that it's actually 1 or 2 seconds that it takes to rotate between portrait and landscape. So it's loaded up right now, and you can see very quick, very smooth, and easy to use. And then when I want to go to a new tab, I can click right there, add a tab, and then I can go back and move between my 2 different tabs. So it's pretty nice, pretty functional, and actually one of the best browsing experiences I've ever worked with on a mobile handset. It just does a killer job. It's incredibly fast, and you know, I've been very, very impressed with it. So let's go over here and take a look at Daily Briefing, because this is the most you'll see in terms of Samsung customization on this device. So no TouchWiz, just like you don't see any HTC Sense stuff on HTC Windows Phone. So you can see here from now, or Daily Briefing, depending on what you want to call it, I can access weather, I can access news, I can access stock, and then I can go to currency and top tweets if I want to. So kind of an all-in-one place to check my weather and see all my information for that day. And of course you can pin that to the home screen by coming over here, and I can hit pin to start, which it must already be on the start page if it's blocked. Ah, there it is. Okay, so here it is, Daily Briefing, and of course I can move these around and change them up as I see fit. I can put it there, for example, and then when I want something on the home screen, I can press and hold it and hit pin to start, and it shows up right there under bandwidth. Now you'll notice some of these are flipping around like you just saw me flip and say 130 new items. Well, it's because they're dynamic tiles. So you can see, you know, especially when you get a Twitter application running, BBC running, British Airways running, it can tell you your reservations. The tiles will constantly flip and change around. You'll notice that the picture's moving here. So it's really cool little functionality, though I will say it's kind of challenging coming into it for the first time, trying to figure out how to activate all the tiles. So, you know, you have Twitter, trying to figure out how to activate that for live tile updates, trying to figure out how to activate British Airways. I just find that it's a little bit fragmented and kind of hard to do for the first time smartphone buyer. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But overall, a pretty nice, easy to use performance that's really, really impressive.